I've shifted into a new timeline several times lately. This month I began with questions about why I don't trust my body, and they centered around sexual trauma. And now it didn't feel terribly traumatic. And I wondered, was that suppression or just equanimity? Had I worked for so long in such a gentle way that I had removed the intensity of the moments and essentially come to peace with them. And yet I wanted to understand why this mistrust of my body continued. You know, what is that thread? I needed to pull on it because it lay beneath everything. Everything for my whole life, it seemed. And I was quite disconnected from that. It was like I couldn't feel it. Like I knew it was a sad thing, and you know, on a human level, and whatever larger ideas I have about how in order to break systems, you have to have someone willing to break the systems, and how maybe that's the only choice that herd mentality of humanity can crack through into rebuilding in a more beautiful form and more loving form. At this point in the collective evolution, maybe that's the only way through. Whereas, you know, of course it's possible to choose to do everything with love and everything with kindness, but look at history. That's really not how the patriarchal system is set up to work. And for the people in power to stay in power, that's just not how it's constructed. It was never going to look like love, you know, evolving through love. It was just never going to look like that at this stage, was it? However much we might know that at any point that's possible. Of course it's possible.
Meet me on the lake, meet me in dark places, meet me like the wind meets the rain, meet me on the lake, meet me in the night sky, meet me when I'm at home, lying awake, for it's you I'm thinking of.
And initially sort of opening this door, this sexual trauma door, it's really dark in that room. A lot of shadows. And I did this little painting of a figure looking a bit worse for wear after a night out at the clubs. You know, it looks like she's got the neon lights of the city kind of reflecting off her face, walking home from a night out. At least that's the story that she was telling me. And it sort of took me back into situations where I had not taken care of myself. I wasn't being safe. I wasn't being loving to this body at all. And again, that stayed really surface. I wasn't ready to go down into that space. Because, well, I don't want to have those conversations with everybody, right? That's really tender. And I don't want to paint that all over my public stuff. But also, I want to talk about it because after my contemplation last month kind of showed me shame in the light of joy, and I was able to not be ashamed of having felt shame, it's easier for me to say things, but also I want to talk about my story only. Right? This is my story only. But when I was little, I was taught that my body was not mine for pleasure when it came to pleasure. I can remember being really tiny and being taught that touching myself was just not okay. And if I did, I needed to repent and ask for forgiveness. Thank you, patriarchal religion. Thank you, patriarchal religion. Anyway, and so I was writing today, putting together this narrative to kind of find the connections of this contemplation that I've done about trust this month. And so this was the problem. My body was not for my own pleasure. I had to repent if it felt good, if I made myself feel good. And because I liked feeling good, I touched myself a lot and had to repent a lot. And so there was this loop of guilt and shame, and very young, very, very young, right? And so that kind of laid this foundation. I can see how that might have laid this foundation for doubting myself and not being able to trust myself with myself, right? That makes sense, right? So not only can I not keep a promise, I'm a slutty sinner into the bargain, right? There's that. And so it really probably isn't any wonder that I was unable to hold sexual boundaries or boundaries around body or bodily autonomy, because I had none. It wasn't mine, right? I didn't precisely know whose it was, but it wasn't mine. And then there's the fact that I am gay. I am flat out lesbian, and didn't realise it until after I was 40 odd, because I just didn't even realise that was an option. So you take these early lessons from a patriarchal system and chuck in a good dose of neurospicy and, perfect storm, right? For not being able to trust myself. That was a breakthrough today. You're welcome. And so I gradually came to understand over the journaling in my private journal and composing the questions for the journaling prompt in Patreon, and then the subsequent bare lines drawing and art journaling, where each of those things just encouraging me and inviting me into this safer space of sitting inside my body and really bringing me to presence. And not feeling afraid, because it's either love or fear that everything stems from. And so what was it in this mistrust of my body where was the fear? And it was just very, very interesting. And then this final large canvas that I've done, when this unexpected penis showed up, and I had to work out what to do with it. And it was this moment of clarity. It was exactly the question that my little 7 or 8 year old self, or however old I was was confronted with, when face to eye with this rampantly erect penis, what do I do with this? So I wanted to come on and just talk a little bit about this painting. It's the first big canvas I've ever done. I've mainly worked in my sketchbook, and this has been, it's been a completely revelatory experience. I was so scared to start work. Let me just adjust this. Hopefully you can hear me. Hopefully you can hear me well. I was so scared to start work, to put any colour on, and so I had a blank canvas sitting here for a long time. You can't see it, but there's a rip from where a shelf fell on it, and that was like the first layer in the artwork, the rip, and then I connected with that and started to lay energy into the painting. And this month in my contemplations, I have a space on Patreon where I have one contemplation a month, and I do journaling and a type of drawing that I do called bare lines, which is really meditative and art therapy, and then art journaling itself. And it all kind of weaves together. And this month, this larger piece has been incorporated into, I don't know, an outspilling of all of that. And I don't know, it just flowed so beautifully, and it came together so quickly. And in my mind, historically, that has negated it as a worthwhile piece of art if it flows and it doesn't take a long time to develop and to appear and to, to work on and all the details and put. It's not a real artwork. But that's just not true. I'm discovering this is my artwork. But the way that it's come about and the symbolism included completely accidentally and subconsciously is so profound. And I'm only able to be here and talk about it because of all of this other work, all of this other shadow work and healing that I've done along the way around sexual trauma. So let me show you the art journaling that I did. It's this picture from the same reference photo, but this little one, sorry, I'm trying to get the angle right. This little one is called Safe to Feel. This one is Secrets in My Body. The journaling was Secrets in My Body. And I feel like this has come really full circle. This is a really pivotal healing moment for probably the foundational sexual trauma that my body's been holding secret my whole life almost, since I was very small. Thank you, babysitter. Grown adult male babysitter. Right? The fact that I can say that out loud without feeling like I've got to keep it a secret is huge by itself. This is helping me do that because every time, like, I have a favorite artist. Oh, sorry. I'm just going to spill my coffee everywhere. I have a favorite artist. Inga makes these amazing, huge canvases, and there's a lot of nude figures and male and feminine energy in these paintings, and I love getting into they're so detailed. But every time I encountered a nude penis, I felt uncomfortable, and it just intrigued me. Because it's not a foreign thing. It's not a scary thing, but it always made me kind of uncomfortable, and I was really curious about that. Excuse me. I love painting nude female forms. Really not interested in painting nude male forms. And here we go. I wouldn't have done this on purpose. I just wouldn't. And now that it's there, I was drinking my coffee at breakfast. And my wondering was, what do I do with this penis? And I had to chuckle, because that is exactly the question that my little tiny person was saying at the time. What do I do with this? What on earth do I do with this? And I have the same dilemma right here in my 53-year-old body. What do I do with this? What do I do with this now? So I am curious about where this painting will go now. But the fact that it's layered in to the image, and I suspect what will happen is that I will concentrate on embracing it with the female form, and the name of the painting, Secrets in My Body, well, it'll just be a secret in my body, won't it? But a secret that is no longer shameful. It's just part of who I am and part of what got me here. And it was there was such an innocence to it before all of the other patriarchal teaching had kicked in, that taught me that my body was not to be trusted, because, it is inherently the thing that creates the situations that well, it's the thing that creates the problems, right? It makes people, men, behave in ways, so it has to be damped down constantly and guarded against. Always. Oh, it's insidious. And anyway, so this unconscious inclusion of this perfect symbolism in my big painting, it was beautiful. It was just beautiful. And there was just it was like this flash of awareness, this full circle moment where I shifted into the next part of the spiral.
Settle down, love. Don't be so restless. Only you have the power to get through this. And
I am a little bit scared to do the next part of the painting. I think just sort of really push back the background. I mean, I love all of this texture. I love the texture. But I don't know. I'll start with the figure and see if that I don't think that will lift her out enough. I think I want to lift her out, like really push her forward. So we'll see how it goes. And so what did I do with the penis? as I suspected, I enfolded it into my being, into my body, my experience of living this life. And I move on.